My name is Jessica, but I can't reveal my real identity for my own safety. I worked at a preschool for over 7 years, thinking I was helping children develop and grow in a safe environment. I loved working with kids, and I believed in the system that was supposed to nurture their education and well-being. But over the years, I started to notice things that no one talks about, things that no one wants to admit about what goes on behind closed doors in daycare centers. What I'm about to share with you is the shocking truth about what actually happens at these institutions. If you have children or plan to have them, you need to hear this. Because the truth is, the system isn't as innocent and safe as they want you to believe. The reality is far darker, and it's something I can no longer keep quiet about. At first, it all seemed great. I was helping young kids learn and grow, and I was proud of the work I was doing. Every day I played with children, read to them, and helped them develop basic skills. But as time went on, I began to notice unsettling things. Children weren't always treated with the care they deserved. Some of my colleagues were kind, but others, well, they had no business working with kids. I began to see how some teachers would get frustrated with the children and treat them harshly. It wasn't physical abuse, but the emotional neglect was real. Some kids were left alone for long periods of time, ignored when they asked for help, or even punished for things that weren't their fault. I also started noticing how overworked the staff was. There were never enough teachers to handle the number of children. One teacher was often left alone with 15-20 kids, some of them with behavioral issues. How could we possibly provide the care they needed in a situation like that? It wasn't just a stressful job, it was a job that set us up to fail the children we were supposed to protect. The real turning point came when I overheard a conversation between a few of the senior staff members. They were discussing how they were told to smooth things over when parents complain. One teacher openly admitted that they would ignore minor incidents of bullying between children to avoid dealing with it. If a child was having a meltdown or acting out, they were told to. But that wasn't all. I came across records of incidents where children had hurt themselves or others, and instead of properly documenting it, it was covered up. The paperwork was altered, and the incidents were downplayed. Parents weren't told the full truth about what had happened. When I started digging deeper into the case files, I discovered that many of the complaints made by parents had been either ignored or outright dismissed by the higher-ups. This wasn't just poor management. This was intentional neglect. As I continued to work there, the reality became impossible to ignore. It wasn't just a few bad apples, it was a systemic problem. The school and many others like it were more concerned with making money than providing quality care for the kids. The preschool wasn't about creating a safe, nurturing environment for children. It was about making sure the daycare filled every slot to maximize profit. Parents were paying good money for what was supposed to be a safe environment for their children. But the reality was that the children were being treated as nothing more than numbers. Staff was underpaid, overworked, and not given enough time or resources to truly care for the children. And worse, the management was aware of these issues and chose to turn a blind eye to them to avoid losing their business and reputation. The more I witnessed, the more I realized how much of the truth was being hidden. When children were hurt, physically or emotionally, it was swept under the rug. When staff members mistreated kids, nothing happened. And when parents asked questions, they were met with vague answers and empty promises. The tipping point came when one of the children in my care, a sweet little girl named Sophie, started showing signs of severe distress. She was acting out, refusing to go to school, and having trouble sleeping. After some time, she confided in me about something that broke my heart. She was being bullied by another child in the class. When I reported it to the head teacher, I was told to keep it quiet and not to make a big deal about it. I was furious, but I realized this wasn't just about one child's problem. It was a pattern. As I investigated further, I learned that this bullying issue was a lot more common than I thought. In fact, many children were being isolated or treated harshly by other kids, but their parents were never told the full story. The staff didn't want to deal with the emotional issues because it was easier to ignore them. And when I started pushing for real change, I was told to keep quiet or face losing my job. It became clear that the school wasn't interested in addressing the real problems. They were interested in maintaining a facade of being the perfect daycare while ignoring the children who needed help the most. I knew I couldn't keep quiet anymore. I had seen enough and I had to do something. But what could I do? The management was too powerful and the system was designed to protect them, not the kids. I gathered evidence. emails, reports, photos, and I contacted the parents of the children involved. I had to let them know the truth, even if it meant losing my job. But I was terrified. Exposing this would destroy the school's reputation, and I knew they would do everything they could to silence me. The moment I went public with what I knew, everything changed. I was fired immediately, and the school denied everything I said. They tried to discredit me, saying I was just a disgruntled employee, but the parents who received the truth were outraged, and slowly, the story started to spread. The public pressure became too much for the school to ignore. But the truth is, this isn't just about one preschool. This is a widespread issue across many daycare centers and schools. Behind those doors, children are being mistreated, neglected, and ignored, all for the sake of profit. The system is broken, and the children are the ones who suffer. If you care about the safety of your children, you need to know what really happens behind the walls of daycares and preschools. I'm telling you this story because no one else will. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to hear more about the things they don't want you to know. Together, we can make sure our children's safety comes first.